2 in the morning. The screen of the stolen phone glowed in the pitch black bedroom, casting a harsh blue light across my hands. My mother, Joanne, was passed out down the hall, knocked out heavy by her nightly sleeping pill. Getting into her device took zero effort. Her passcode was sickeningly predictable. The exact date she hit 1 million subscribers on her mommy vlog channel. One glance at her inbox confirmed the absolute nightmare we were living in. A confirmed flight out of Phoenix to Tijuana in exactly 48 hours. A $50,000 home equity line of credit, taken out in secret by forging my father's signature. Then came the emails. An unlicensed cosmetic butcher operating out of a strip mall clinic, casually discussing bone shaving and permanent vocal cord modification. His promise was brutal and clear. He was going to make me and my 3 younger sisters permanently, surgically identical for her brand. I looked across our dead-bolted room at my sleeping sisters. My throat tightened until I could barely breathe. I swallowed the panic down. Tears would just waste precious time. I screenshotted every single receipt, every bank transfer, and every surgical itinerary, sending the files directly to a secure cloud drive. The counterattack starts right now. I packed my duffel bag in the dark, moving quietly so the floorboards would remain silent. I folded my matching pink sweater, the exact one Joanne forced all 4 of us to wear every single day. We were not daughters to her. We were props in a sick, highly produced stage play. Joanne built an entire online empire playing the perfect, loving mother. Her brand was family unity, but her reality was total ownership. When my sister Vanessa turned 15 and dared to cut her hair an inch shorter, Joanne dragged her onto a live broadcast. She humiliated Vanessa to hundreds of thousands of followers, calling her a rebellious, ungrateful child, deliberately destroying our family bond. Then came the physical control. Vanessa started developing faster than the rest of us. Joanne could not handle the disruption to our identical silhouettes on camera. She forced us into stiff, suffocating chest binders. The coarse, elastic fabric dug deeply into my skin every time I inhaled. My ribs ached constantly. I hid the deep purple, raw bruises under oversized shirts. Greg, our father, just stood by and smiled for the lenses. He was a coward. He enabled her extreme delusions because he liked the expensive lifestyle her channel paid for. He told us we were special. He claimed nobody else in the world loved us like they did. They thought I was their perfect, brainwashed little puppet. They had no idea I was taking over the director's chair. Joanne had routed that stolen $50,000 through a shell company in Delaware, labeling it a documentary expense to hide the trail. She was washing money to pay a butcher to break our faces. I tucked her phone deep into the lining of my duffel bag. My sisters and I were going to get out. Even if I had to burn her empire entirely to the ground to do it, the trap snapped shut at 4 in the morning. Joanne crushed heavy. Prescription sedatives into our dinner the night before. I realized her plan halfway through the meal, slipped the rest of my food into a napkin under the table, and forced myself to stay awake while my sisters went completely limp in their beds. Greg carried us out to the dark van like pieces of luggage. I played dead weight, my heart hammering furiously against my ribs while Joanne chattered excitedly in the front passenger seat. She was already planning the viral content she would film once our surgical swelling went down. The harsh fluorescent lights of the Phoenix International Airport stung my eyes. Greg loaded us onto a cold metal luggage cart, Joanne zipped my pink sweater all the way up to my chin, practicing her sweet, concerned mother voice in the terminal window reflection. As we approached the international ticket counter, I spotted Officer Marcus. He was standing near the security checkpoint, scanning the morning crowd. This was my only window. If they got us on that plane, we would never be ourselves again. Joanne started charming the airline agent, spinning a flawless lie about anxious teenage flyers needing heavy medication. Officer Marcus stepped closer to investigate the 4 completely unresponsive girls piled on the cart. Joanne smiled her perfect, camera-ready smile. I struck. I violently threw my entire body weight off the side of the cart. My shoulders slammed into the hard tile floor with a loud crack. The surrounding crowd gasped. Joanne shrieked, lunging forward to aggressively cover me up. I ripped the zipper of my sweater down and tore the collar of my undershirt wide open. The horrific dark purple bruising and raw skin from the chest binders was entirely exposed to 100 morning travelers. Cell phones instantly went up in the air. Joanne's pristine mask shattered into a million pieces. She screamed at the crowd to stop recording, her manicured hands frantically pulling at my clothes. I kicked her stolen phone across the smooth floor. It slid directly into Officer Marcus's black boot. I gasped for air, forcing the words out of my burning throat. She is taking us to Mexico to be cut open. Officer Marcus saw the deep bruises on my chest. He picked up the unlocked phone, staring directly at the Tijuana surgical itinerary and the bank fraud receipt. He immediately keyed his shoulder radio, calling for emergency medical services and urgent backup. Greg turned and sprinted toward the glass exit doors. But 2 transportation security agents tackled him hard into a row of metal chairs. Joanne fought the handcuffs, screaming viciously at her followers through the lenses of strangers' cameras. Her perfect, highly curated world burned to ash right in the middle of Terminal 4. 2 months passed. Child Protective Services placed Vanessa, Erica, Catherine, and me in a safe foster home on the other side of the city. I joined a community soccer team. I wore mismatched, scuffed cleats and a neon green jersey that belonged only to me. Running down the field, breathing fresh air without a thick binder crushing my lungs. Felt like flying. It felt like peace. The peace was a total lie. Joanne posted federal bail. The government had completely frozen her shell company accounts for massive wire fraud. And her high-priced defense lawyers were threatening to drop her case due to non-payment, desperate for cash. She weaponized her rabid fan base. She posted tearful videos claiming the corrupt state kidnapped her children to silence her truth. She needed a prop to launch a multi-million-dollar legal defense fund. During my first soccer game, she exploited a legal loophole. She stood exactly 1 inch outside the park's 500-foot restraining order zone. She sent 2 radicalized, obsessed superfans into the bleachers to snatch 12-year-old Catherine. I saw the 2 women grab Catherine's arms and yank her toward the parking lot. I knew the local police would arrive way too late to stop a fanatic mob. I sprinted across the grass, my cleats tearing up the green turf. I hit the first woman hard enough in the shoulder to knock the breath entirely out of her lungs. I grabbed Catherine and shoved her firmly behind my back. Joanne stepped over the boundary line, her face twisted in pure, unhinged rage. She assumed she still had the absolute upper hand. She assumed I was still her terrified little girl. She sneered, stepping aggressively into my personal space. "You are nothing without my brand." She hissed, "I own your faces. I own your bodies. And I will get my money back." She thought she was intimidating me in private. She did not realize the second superfan had dropped her phone in the grass during our physical scuffle. The screen was glowing bright. The fan was actively broadcasting the kidnapping attempt to thousands of Joanne's most loyal followers. I snatched the phone from the dirt and angled the camera directly up at Joanne's furious, contorted face. I baited her. I asked her loudly if stealing $50,000 from our college funds was worth going to federal prison. Joanne, entirely consumed by her own toxic narcissism and unable to back down from a challenge, stared right into the lens. She screamed that the money belonged to her because we belonged to her, admitting to the exact financial crimes the FBI was investigating. The live chat exploded in absolute horror. Her wealthy corporate sponsors publicly dropped her in real time. Her most loyal defenders watched their idol confess to bank fraud and attempted child abduction on a live feed. Sirens wailed loudly in the distance. Officer Marcus, assigned to closely monitor our protective order, sprinted onto the field with 3 local police officers. They slammed Joanne against the hood of a cruiser, cuffing her immediately for violating federal bail and attempted kidnapping. Joanne dropped to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably and begging the camera as her entire empire evaporated into thin air. I handed the broadcasting phone to Officer Marcus and walked away without looking back. There were absolutely no loose ends left. The digital confession broadcasted to thousands of people, and the wire fraud receipts gave the Federal Bureau of Investigation full, undeniable jurisdiction. Joanne was federally indicted for identity theft, bank fraud, and severe child abuse. The judge sentenced her to 12 solid years in federal prison without the possibility of early parole, alongside an order to pay full restitution. Greg, proving exactly how much of a coward he truly was, took a plea deal the exact moment he was arrested at the airport. He turned state's evidence against his own wife to avoid maximum prison time, securing a 5-year sentence. The bank seized our old house to pay off the fraudulent home equity loan, leaving them with absolutely zero assets. The court legally granted our foster family permanent guardianship of all 4 of us. We sat around our new kitchen table on a quiet Tuesday evening. Vanessa had cut her hair into a short, jagged bob. Erica dyed her ends bright blue. Catherine wore a yellow sweater that she picked out herself. We were eating 4 completely different meals. I pulled out my phone, navigated to the secure cloud drive holding all the evidence, and permanently deleted the folder. The heavy, suffocating weight of the perfect family was gone forever. It was replaced by the quiet, beautiful awkwardness of total freedom. A few months later, a stamped envelope arrived in the mail. The return address was a federal correctional facility. Joanne tried to reach out. The letter was a rambling mess of manipulation, claiming she did everything to make us extraordinary, begging me to remember that she was still my mother. She expected anger. She expected a response. I folded the paper in half, dropped it directly into the kitchen trash can, and walked outside to help Vanessa practice her soccer drills. The silence was the most powerful answer I could ever give. I am 16 years old, and I am finally free. Walking away from the people who created you is a completely different kind of battle than fighting them in court. The legal system handles the bank fraud, the physical abuse, and the restraining orders. The court gives you a piece of paper that says you are legally safe. The real war happens inside your own mind. It happens in the quiet moments when society tries to tell you that you are supposed to forgive your abusers simply because you share a last name. I spent years trapped in a house where love was heavily weaponized. Joanne did not love us. Narcissists do not love their children as human beings. They love their children as extensions of their own fragile ego. We were simply mirrors, required to perfectly reflect her glory back to the world. When she said she wanted us to be united, what she actually meant was she required our total submission. Every matching outfit, every identical haircut, and every staged photograph was a psychological collar around our neck. People watch mommy vloggers and family influencers online and they see perfection. They see bright smiles and perfectly coordinated vacations. They see parents who look endlessly patient and children who look effortlessly happy. A camera only captures a fraction of a second. It does not capture the chest binders hidden under the matching pink sweaters. It does not capture the sleeping pills crushed into the dinner plates. It does not capture the terror of a child who realizes their mother views them as livestock ready for the surgical slaughterhouse. Surviving that kind of deeply orchestrated abuse teaches you lessons that you can never unlearn. It fundamentally alters the way you view the world. Trust and human connection. I want to break down exactly what I learned, because I know there are thousands of people out there living in their own heavily curated nightmares. I want to give you the exact rules that saved my life. Rule number 1. Blood does not make you family. Safety, respect, and autonomy make you family. Society is obsessed with the concept of biological loyalty. We are told from the moment we are born that family is everything, that blood is thicker than water, and that you must honor your parents no matter what they do to you. That is a dangerous, highly toxic lie. A biological title is not a free pass for psychological torture. Giving birth to a child does not give you the right to own their identity. Sharing DNA with someone does not mean you owe them your sanity, your physical safety, or your future. Family is a verb. It is something you do actively, not something you are simply born into. If the people who share your blood treat you like property, you have every right to walk away and build a family out of the people who treat you like a human being. Rule number 2, the loudest performers almost always have the darkest secrets. Pay very close attention to the people who are absolutely obsessed with their public image. When someone spends all their energy demanding that the world sees them as a perfect parent, a perfect spouse, or a perfect friend, it is almost always a thick smoke screen designed to hide the monsters living in their closet. Genuine love does not need a ring light. Genuine connection does not need an audience of strangers. If someone is willing to destroy you in private just to protect their flawless reputation in public, they do not care about you. They only care about the applause. Joanne burned her entire life down because she was more afraid of losing her brand than she was of losing her daughters. Do not trust the performance. Trust the behavior you see when the cameras are turned off and the doors are locked tight. Rule number 3, establishing boundaries is never an act of betrayal. It is an act of sacred survival. For years, Joanne gaslit me into believing that wanting to be an individual was a selfish, malicious act. She convinced Vanessa that cutting her hair was a direct attack on our family unity. Abusers use guilt to keep you paralyzed. They make you believe that protecting yourself is a crime against them. Choosing to protect your own mind, your own body, and your own future is the most fundamental right you possess. Setting a boundary is simply drawing a firm line in the sand and saying that your peace is worth more than their comfort. Yes, it will make them angry. Yes, They will call you ungrateful. Yes, it will break the hearts of the people who demand your total submission. Let their hearts break. You cannot heal in the exact same environment that made you sick. It has been months since I tackled my mother on that soccer field. We are learning how to be normal teenagers. I am learning how to choose my own clothes, pick my own hobbies, and dream about a future that belongs entirely to me. My sisters and I still flinch sometimes when a camera flashes in public. We still double check the locks on the doors before we go to sleep. Healing is not a straight line, and it is not a perfect fairy tale ending. It is messy, it is loud, and it is incredibly hard work. It is our work. We belong to ourselves now. I look into the lens today not to perform for an audience, but to tell the raw truth. I know someone watching this is sitting in a room right now, feeling the crushing weight of a toxic relationship. You are staring at a parent, a partner, or a friend who demands everything you have and leaves you with nothing but bruises. You are wondering if you are crazy. You are wondering if you should just keep your head down and endure the pain. I am asking you a very simple question. Are you holding on to a toxic relationship just because society tells you that is what family does? When are you going to stop setting yourself on fire just to keep their brand warm? You do not need their permission to leave. You do not need their forgiveness to heal. The door is not locked from the outside. You have the power to walk through it. Tell me your story in the comments below. Let this be the place where we finally stop performing and start surviving. I know exactly what you are screaming at the screen right now. You are sitting there wondering, why did she wait so long? Why did she let them put those painful binders on her? How does a parent get away with treating their kids like inventory right in front of a camera for years? Let's take a breath and break this down, because what you just watched is a masterclass in escaping a highly manipulative system. First, we need to understand the psychology of the delay. You look at Brooke and think she should have run away the second things got weird. But here's the psychological trap of a narcissistic family dynamic. It relies heavily on the slot machine effect, clinically known as intermittent reinforcement. Joanne and Greg did not just torture those girls 24 hours a day. They mixed the intense control with massive public praise. They told them they were special. They told them nobody else in the world loved them. They handed out tiny crumbs of hope and affection. When you are a child in that environment, you are not stupid. You become psychologically addicted to those crumbs. You are biologically wired to survive by hoping the next pull of the lever gives you the jackpot of real, unconditional love. Brooke had to break a severe psychological addiction before she could even think about breaking the physical lock. But once the illusion shattered, Brooke executed an absolute clinic in financial and legal self-defense. Let's analyze the street-smart moves she made that actually saved her life. Move number 1, building the case. When Brooke unlocked that phone at 2 in the morning, her first instinct wasn't to wake her mother up screaming. Confrontation without leverage is just a warning system for the villain. Instead, she took screenshots and immediately sent them to a secure cloud drive. If you are dealing with a toxic entity, secure the evidence before you ever show your hand. Move number 2, the audit strategy. Scammers and abusers absolutely hate details. Brooke did not just stop at finding a plane ticket to Tijuana. She followed the money. She uncovered the forged $50,000 home equity loan and the Delaware Shell Company. By finding that specific financial paper trail, Brooke upgraded her nightmare from a confusing family dispute into undeniable federal bank fraud. She weaponized their own greed against them. Move number 3, the buyout. At the final soccer game climax, Brooke didn't just throw physical punches. She recognized her mother's greatest weakness, her narcissism, and used a dropped phone to broadcast a live confession. Think of this as the ultimate buyout. Brooke essentially purchased her family's permanent freedom by letting the villain dig her own legal grave in front of the FBI, her sponsors, and the world. Here is the final verdict. Blood does not make you family. Loyalty and safety do. Your DNA does not dictate your destiny. And a biological title does not give anyone the right to treat you like a financial asset in their portfolio. You are allowed to audit the people in your life. You are allowed to check the receipts. And most importantly, you are allowed to walk away from people who hurt you, even if you share a last name. Trust is earned. It is never owed. If this breakdown hit home for you, or if you have survived your own version of a toxic family system, drop your story in the comments below. Hit subscribe so we can keep breaking down the real-world strategies you need to protect your life. Your money and your mind, stay safe out there.